All right, we're live. Ryan Duey, welcome back.
Good to be back. Excited to
Yeah,
hang.
it's great to have you, man. I watch your business from afar, and I just think it's really cool. I just think what you're doing is really cool. Seems like you're having a great time. Working with a lot of really interesting brands. Providing a lot of value to the consumer marketplace and creating really cool looking products, just aesthetically beautiful stuff. So yeah, I mean, if okay, let's start here. People, haven't don't know you. Just quick introduction to who you are, Ryan, and Plunge, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah. Co-founder, co-CEO of Plunge. We build cold plunges and saunas and having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, seems like it. And what a time, right? What a time for cold and hot therapies. And I talk to a lot of different brands and even in the brick and mortar, kind of franchise and gym space, like these new modalities popping up and everybody's getting their, cold and more and hot therapies, the contrast therapies involved. And it's just a wonderful time for wellness, I guess is really the word I'm trying to say is, consumers more interested that the younger generations are really into wellness. Um, People are looking for alternatives to, going out on the weekends and, you know, drinking and whatever they do, partying, right? And finding healthier alternatives. So it's just a really cool time. And maybe let's start with that, Ryan. I mean, I know you follow the research, you follow the trends and things like that. But when you look at kind of this tiny sector of corporate or of consumer wellness, right? How's it doing? Like, is it just a trend or are you continuing to see it grow?
Yeah, I think we're seeing growth as a company. There's more players in the space. You look at the search term cold plunge on Google Trends. It's consistently growing. Like you mentioned, the brick and mortar, businesses that are popping up more and more every day. Just you can, see it happening. But then obviously we have connection to a lot of those companies that are coming and hear it and all the franchises that are being purchased. So yeah, I think we're still in maybe last time we spoke, we're in the second inning, maybe hitting the third inning here, still very infant, very early on. It's exciting. I mean, the consumer, there's nothing really showing that it's slowing up. And I think it's also like consumer wellness. What is that? Like defining that and getting, like, it's a pretty big category of what wellness is.
That was actually my next question is how would you describe the sector that you're in, right? Like how would you describe the industry?
Yeah, I think for us specifically, we're in this kind of extreme temperature product zone. Really, like our North Star is like building resilience. So that's kind of like where
Mm.
we fit as a wedge in like our specific area in the category. But there's so many others, you had red light therapy, you had different even wearable technology, and all those things that come with that. So I think that is, consumer wellness is just overall well-being. And I think it's getting more of a holistic look at, whether it's sleep technology or whether it's just workout recovery or mental health. All these areas are kind of converging and coming under one umbrella called consumer wellness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a broad category. It's just that term wellness, and some people say well-being, health. It's become really broad. It's like we almost have these niche it down a little bit more into these subcategories. So I'm always curious. People who are elbow deep in it. How do you kind of classify it? Yeah, I mean, when you look at let's start with this too. Is like give us some updates. It's been about a year since you and I recorded. And a lot's going on. There's a sauna product out now. You have your Revolve series that you were telling me about. I noticed you guys released a cool little shower unit that you can put
Yeah.
outside. You guys are really evolving your product line. So yeah, what's been the haps over the last year?
Yeah. So we, grew a lot as a company, just size, scale, product offerings. We last fall released our Plunge All In, which is kind of the premium V2 version that was coming out, all integrated technology that we designed, app connectability, just more efficient cooling and just overall better experience. That was kind of the next phase. that technology is now coming into what we're calling our Revolve series. So by the time this comes out, we will just have been launching that, or we'll be launching that, which allows us to get into some different price points, which has always kind of been the emphasis of the company. When we originally came in, that 5K price point that we launched with our original plunge is pretty new in the market. There wasn't really anyone doing that price point. So we'd always wanted to be like a premium model at affordable price points. And, 5K at that time created more affordability to a newer sector of the market, or kind of creating the market. Now we're excited to even get into some lower price points that'll come soon, different types of units. And so that's, so really always trying to like, the cold plunge space is like, where's the product that where's the wedge that's still available? There's a group that either it doesn't fit, it's affordability, like what is that category? So we're always kind of trying to, evolve there, make sure we're filling that. We launched the sauna. It's done really, really well early still. So we're still kind of getting the production side of it, scaling up. We're wanting to obviously build very quality products. So you kind of going a little slower before we can speed up. But that's doing really well. And then always like finding these new products that, like you said, the shower, that was a fun one that came. Mike, my co-founder, is kind of the mastermind behind a lot of this. So he, oh, I need a shower. And so we spin it up pretty quick pretty quickly. We were able to get that going. And then the big route that's kind of starting to come to fruition, which we're getting to a spot where we're actually starting to promote and talk about, is our app. So we launched the app in October of last year, which was to connect to the all-in. That was all of our products are now, any new product that's coming out is app connectability, and we own the app. We're fully designing it, have the development in-house. And now it's actually at a spot where it's functional for people that don't even have a cold plunge or are cold plunge. You could go, there's real features within it, whether it's like an app that we feel is actually built for cold plunging, or an app or a timer, some cool, like kind of social functions that you can, cool feature we just released in the app that it's subtle, but it's fun. It's like this, when you're going on a roller coaster and you all of a sudden you get at the end, they take the picture of you and it's a very candid photo. We created what we call the plunge booth. And so we thought there was no better like candid moment when you're 3 minutes into a cold plunge and you're getting your timer. Well, now it'll spit out this like cool, it'll catch you in the moment with this photo, showing your temp, showing the time that you went. So kind of some social proofing, but just a fun way to kind of authentically document like your experience. So that's some new features in the app. So yeah, the app's like becoming our real, just a whole new way to connect with the consumer, make the experience even better from your setup to, if you own the plunge, you connect to it. You can start your sauna from anywhere. You can start your, change your temp on your plunge. Maybe your wife wants to plunge at a different temp. You can kind of update it during the middle of the day. So those are all features that have come out with, and some of these new ones that we'll be, releasing in the next month or two.
Yeah. Smart plunging. I love it. The virality of cold plunging is really funny. Like you open up an Instagram and you're going to scroll through, you're going to see somebody cold plunging, right? It's I don't know what is it about plunging that people just want to share that they do it? Is it that because it's hard, right? Is it that because, they get to strip down to barely nothing and maybe it's an easy way to, get some eyeballs on a Instagram feed? Like, what do you think it is that makes this so viral and why people love to share it on social media so much?
I think it's all everything you said. I think it's, there's at the end of the day, it is something challenging. So you want to share it. I think running is having its moment right now with ultras and marathons and just people running, Strava, these different apps that are, they do a really good job. There's no better feeling when you're out and you're doing the thing and you're like, you're proud of yourself and you're like, want to show the world that I'm up to cool stuff. And I think they've done really well at like show your route that you just went on, show your, how far you went. And I think cold plunging, even sauna are categories that are similar that can be easily shared. Yeah. I think it's all of that. I think the next phase of like the virality is like, especially from our app, which kind of fits into this, is like how to create accountability. Like there's you want to share, and how do you build that in where you're sharing to your accountability partners that you've done it and you're doing it together. So I think that's something we're trying to create and build within the app, that it's not just about the post, but it's about like representing to your group that like, okay, cool, I did it. Like who else is in? Did everyone else get theirs in today or whatever what they were committed to for the week? So yeah, it's definitely, and it's new, it's still in this phase where how many people actually have a cold plunge? It's definitely like a there is like a societal dynamic to it. Like this is where I put my money. It's not a $10 purchase. And this is what represents me. I spent a good chunk of, hard earned money into buying this product. And I think there's something to be said about that and saying what you stand for.
It's funny, when you talk about how many people in the market have one, I actually personally don't know anybody here locally to me who has one yet.
Totally.
We've requested it at our local gym here. Every time I see the GM at the local gym here, like, Art, how's it going? Want me to put you in touch with Ryan? But I still to this day don't see a lot of it, and I think that's good for you, right? Because that means that the market is still pretty wide open. And the thing about accountability, I think I may have told you this. Like, I started doing cold showers like 6 years ago, and met a local really good tattoo artist here, Jake Bernelson. Shout out to Jake. If people will look up and see his work, it's amazing. You'd love him, Ryan, if you check out what he does.
Cool.
But he got me into it, and we've been texting each other every morning with how long we've sat in the cold shower for over 5 years now. And I don't think if it wasn't for him, I would probably still do it, but I wouldn't do it to the extent because I feel guilty, man. If I miss it on the weekend or something like that, and he texts me what the time he does, and that human accountability is pretty darn powerful. And it's taken me, even to this day, after how many years I've been in this industry, I still realize that is something that cannot be, subsidized or, replaced by an application or technology.
It's so powerful. I mean, it's taken me years to understand, like, I have a trainer that shows up and I would miss so many workouts if like he wasn't showing up. Like, it's like, I have to show up. Like, yeah, I am paying him money, but how we create accountability and how we can, hold, I think of like, we talked like, I have a co-founder and I think of just in the business, like there are days I struggle, but to have someone that's there and like, cool, I got you, dude. We're going to keep going. Just show up. It's kind of like that into like, building a partnership with, your buddy that you're texting on the shower. Like days you're like, shit, I don't want to do this. And he's like, dude, I got my time in. I'm feeling good. You got this. Like it's such a hack to elevate ourselves on it's, on especially the days that we just don't want to show up.
Yeah. That's a really nice segue because it's something I want to talk to you about, the entrepreneurship side of things. I mean, when I see your socials and when you and I catch up periodically, like I talked to at the beginning, you just seem like a guy who's really enjoying the journey. I mean, your podcast is called The Journey. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Uh, and this is a generic question, but I'm just going to ask it because I think there's a lot of things that people can learn from it. But along the way, as you've kind of seen this, exponential growth of your company, like what are some of the significant challenges and how have you and your partner as co-CEOs, which is it's not completely unique, but you don't see it often, right? Like
Mhm.
how have you guys worked through challenges and what's been the benefits of having a co-CEO and maybe some of the challenges if you was just Ryan running the show?
Yeah, I think for us it works really, really well because we had a strong friendship before we came in, and I'm like really a real strong, healthy level of respect. We know how each other worked. We with our other businesses, we're business partners, but got to know each other really well through that. So and then there was like this bit of lucking out a bit where we didn't quite realize that we had very opposite skill sets. So, I'm very pro co-CEO in the category of like, if there's trust, respect, and like differing skill sets. To me, if those check the box, it's a superpower. And why I think it's great is like I was mentioning earlier, days that I'm really down or questioning something, I have an extension of me that it usually lands that we don't, and we kind of recognize when each other are there, that someone else steps up in their day and then vice versa. And, being a CEO, it's an isolating experience. Like there's a lot you can't share just for what it is, like things that are confidential. It just can't be discussed with almost anyone else in the org. Whether you have a board, there's obviously things that are select that you're sharing with them to your team. And, obviously your partner is an outlet at some point, like there, but like my co-CEO, him and I talk every single day. We don't have any like structured meeting category where it's like, okay, we're talking at this time. We just pick up the phone. We usually call each other. We run things by each other. Uh, and it's more, we can be sounding boards and just really work through a decision that's like way more sound to when we present to the team. It's not, it's thought through. It's rational. It's thought through a lot of like poke holes at each other. And we always go with like, if someone's very passionate about something. We take a step back. We rarely ever have issues where we fight. Like, it's like, I totally disagree with you. Actually, I can't think of that. It's usually one is we're both equally passionate and excited to go in some direction. That's awesome. That's easy. The other one where someone's super passionate, the other one's kind of on the fence. We usually just, okay, if you're into it, let's go. And thankfully, that's kind of been our situation throughout the whole time. So it's, I don't know any different running a company of this size without a CEO. Also recognize it's pretty rare. Where it becomes very interesting is on like interviews and, people we're hiring. And it's like they come from big orgs, huge Fortune 500 companies. And, they're looking like never had a co-CEO. That's how does this work? And we're very clear into he's things, I'm people. And that's kind of the easiest way to delineate it and what we oversee, a couple little overlaps here and there. But that's always like, first interview with some candidate that's going to report to us. They're always like, what, tell me about this dynamic. Like some think of it as a red flag where for us, it's actually been the opposite. It's allowed us to move really, really quick and stay real consistent.
Yeah. And how long have you guys known each other? Right.
Since 2015.
Okay. Do
So
you think if someone didn't have that previous relationship with someone that you could make a co-CEO situation work?
I think you could. I think that the probability is much less. For us, we had done a program called Landmark together, which was like a personal development program. And we did
Oh,
it
yeah.
separately, but it was something we both went through that was very transformative in our lives. And it gave us like common language with each other and kind of, I'd say, the resources and tools to really be straight with each other and talk things out when things were rising up and not turning it into, resentments or narratives. So that's been like, for us, that was a program that was really, really strong. It's actually something we put through any employee that wants to go through. We pay for them to go through it. And it's been pretty powerful within the organization. Mike and I are both like psychedelic users, intentional settings, and those can be very challenging. And we've used that as tools for ourselves. So I think for us, like, I would say, be very clear into what it's a marriage, and you wouldn't get married to someone if you didn't know them. And Mike and I dated for 5 years before we, did something together and committed to doing the process. In fact, even when he first asked me to be his co-founder, I more or less said no. And, he kept, just like any good founder would do, he kept kind of iterating and improving, and he showed back up. He improved the areas that I was skeptical in. And thankfully he did that because, he was the spark to this whole all of Plunge and what we're doing here. So that was a long answer to it's possible, but we see marriages that work after someone meeting one night and they go get married. But I would say it's a very low probability.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's interesting. I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there who listen to the show who are businesses or executives, own businesses or are executives of companies. And, the classic question when you're starting a business is like, do you want a partner or not? Right. Even if it's a small business, even if you're starting a boutique gym or something like that, do you want a partner or not? And, I've always had partners in my businesses and it's been great most of the time. But when it's not okay. Right. And it's tough and it's a marriage. Then it comes down to divorce and then, the paperwork starts getting involved and all that. So, but it can be so great. Like, I think about my first business, Trevor and I had a longstanding friendship and great business partners. And it was so nice to know that I could go on vacation for 3 weeks right? And know that there was somebody there who's equally invested in the business looking over it, right? You knew like, and we kind of just paired each other really well. We complemented each other really well on certain things. So it was really great. And then, eventually, for life reasons, we kind of had to go apart, and then you got to deal with all that. Right. So
Mm.
it's always an interesting thing. I mean, I think it's something that people really need to look at. You're right. Like a marriage, it's not something you can figure out on a balance sheet, right? It's something that you kind of have to feel and know, and, have trust.
Yeah, you gotta, it's, you have to be open to like sharing emotionally where you're at. That's up. Him and I check in all the time. Like, we're like in the now, is vision still aligned? Are we still wanting to go? Is this still the outcome you're looking for? Is this the outcome you're looking for? Is this like,
Hmm.
always are checking in on our horizons, but you got to be comfortable in a space to like share when it's different. Cause that's always like, then you're working through something new. Like, oh, that shifted. I've been operating from this place thinking you felt this way. So it's a lot of those conversations. Thankfully, him and I are very, very comfortable with that. And our outcome is more of like happiness for each of us. And knowing that like if someone's not happy, then it's like, okay, what's the solution here? It's not, I'm not trying to make you happy. So yeah, I think it's uh, just a lot of trust and like kind of safety to be able to have those
Yeah.
conversations.
That's great. And I think it's good to have those systems in place too, where you kind of have those communications. I think, the Starettes, I mean, Kelly and Juliet Starrett, and been friends of the show for a long time. And I've seen how they're very public, just public in general, but they talk about how they have, set times of the week or the month where they just check in with each other, and they just make sure that everything's good. And it's kind of like an opportunity just to lay it all out there, right? It's like uncomfortable, I'm sure,
Mhm.
but they systematically kind of put those times in place on a regular basis so that you kind of have to do it. Otherwise, that can will get kicked down the road, so often, until eventually, like you stated, like the vision's not the same, and one person's, maybe not as happy as they used to be. And then that ugly form of resentment works into the relationship, and that's hard to get rid of over time. So it's like, yeah. So do you guys do that regularly? Is that something you're like, you plan on, or is it just something that comes up organically that you guys are checking in with each other?
Organically is probably 95% of the time. And then we do put in, we can sense when there's like bigger new seasons that are evolving. The company's in a new spot. There's a new up leveling in how we need to communicate with ourselves, with our team. A recent one was like our team size has grown dramatically, and more our executive level team has grown dramatically. And we had clear reports, who reports to Mike, who reports to me, but and we would kind of, piggyback into some and do it. And it was like, wow, time's getting very, even more valuable. It's like, how do I, how does Mike not have to feel that he has to be in this meeting that I'm managing to make sure he's getting the information? And how am I getting that back to him? Vice versa. And so that was like a recent one where we had to set some time and be like, all right, where do you feel I am not spending my time correctly? Where do you think I can, where am I kind of, that was the big one, like, which is a kind of a hard conversation sometimes. It's like, man, I think I'm doing this correctly, and you have a different viewpoint. What are areas that hold the business back? And those were more intentional talks where we can really, like, that's a different conversation than just the daily working through ideas and, actual specific tasks at hand. So we actually just did a big offsite with our whole executive team, big weekend in Tahoe. And that we did it actually, we brought in what Mike and I had been going through, our exercises, and we brought that into the whole executive team. It was a real opportunity for, them to even get really, really creating a space for them to get really honest with us. We treated ourselves very, very linear, very healthy exercise for us to, and uncomfortable for everyone to share, like, okay, where individually are we holding each other? Are we personally holding the company back? Where are we not? Uh, yeah, that was the question. Where are we not showing up for the best that we can for the company? And really good to get it all out on the table and work through it, and everyone to make a commitment into one category that we're going to commit to over the next 90 days. So really try to bring that in with Mike and I, and then how do we bring that into the leadership team?
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I think that level of self-reflecting and vulnerability is probably not that normal, I think, at the executive level, for most companies. And going to say that from some experience working with some executives too. Like, kudos to you guys for making that work.
And to me,
I
it's
wonder,
crazy not to do it. Like in the sense of like, if we're
yeah,
actually here to improve and like, that's not like we all love each other and like truly you feel everyone cares about each other. It's like, then it's like, all right, we're at the mission for improvement and the company only gets better through improvement. So I just, it's funny you said that because we had a couple of newer execs on the team and they were like, you know, like I said, more legacy tech companies. And they're like, I would have been
mhm,
fired for the things that I said today. And that just blew me away. Like, how is that? Like, how many things are being unsaid in organizations that are like holding things back? Like, if you're actually about the betterment of the org, which to me shows like a lot of orgs are about the betterment of the individual as opposed to like, which I think is where you get some of these huge organizations. You go from like founder led, really mission driven, vision driven at some point that just, through the process of acquisition or, turnover on team, you lose it. And I think it's just so critical whether the founders are still there or not. Like you keep that level of honesty and that level of, uh, trust. And, I think Jeff Bezos at Amazon, I think from a highest level do that. Like they were about truth. I'm sure it led to a little, uh, it could be almost a little too harsh sometimes, but I love that he was always about like, not about spinning something to make us feel good or like, no, we're truly about the better, like what is the truth here? And so I think there's a way to bring that in with a level of, a level of compassion, a level of kindness. And so that's what we're trying to achieve.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome, man. I want to get a little bit into the marketplace, and then I want to make sure we give diligence to your podcast too, because I've looking at some of the guests you've had, it looks like a really cool show and experience for you as well. But from the outsider, I'm looking kind of at this market, and I feel like you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we had this wave of super cheap plunges, right? Just basically like garbage cans, right? That you can set up and just put cold water into, and $100, and or that can't have lasted very long, right? Like, how is the market shifting? I mentioned, you have your premier, I guess, your original plunge, right? 5 grand, beautiful, state of the art, keeps getting more state of the art with the, the all, what's the title of the one with the
It's
app?
all in, the all in.
Well, all in. Thank you. Sorry.
Yep.
And then you're kind of going into the middle. Like, what is the market looking like from a consumer price point now? Like, is it still have the low cost, or is it settling in the middle? Like, where are you seeing these settling now moving forward?
I mean, price point matters at the end of the day.
Of course.
Not everyone is in the position to buy a $5,000 or $8,000 product. So we get that. I think there has been a lot of white labeled, drop ship products coming from China that have entered the market. There's a different level of product you're getting there. I think the biggest, like there's obviously like quality, is top of mind, but say the biggest thing too is like, yes, no matter what, even if it's a $3,000 product, most are getting down to, you could buy either the pop-up barrels, like the pop-up, there's $100, but that's like, you're filling it up with ice yourself, filling it up with water. It's not not on demand, cold, clean water, which is fine. It's kind of the entry level. When this comes out, we're actually launching a product there. And that to me is like the great starter kit. Like showers are a starter kit. And then there's this other, like, just get into it, like fill it up yourself for a week, see what it's all about before you go make this pretty impactful purchase in your life. So that's a product we're actually going to release. And we're excited. Like our positioning there is like, this is risk-free. Buy this. And if you ever buy one of our core products, we'll give you your money back immediately. So it's like, just
Well,
try it out. Like so I'm pretty fired up on that product. It's definitely like
that's
different
fair.
than what the world has come to know us as. It's like this premium cold plunge company. But to me, it's like our mission has always been, how do we get more people cold plunging? So for us, like we see an opportunity there because we've had a ton of those like very entry level products. People become our customer. Awesome. Well, let's just go straight to the horse mouth and let's create a product that everyone can get into. And so there's like, I think that's where majority of people are still buying these cheaper products, kind of getting into it. I think where it gets a little, I want to say risky, but you know, buy at your own, be aware, when you're getting into the $2,000 to $3,000 purchase, like that's still not just cheap. You're still spending a substantial amount of money. Like how long has that company been there? What's their tech network like? What's the support? Yes, we want all these products to work perfectly, but sometimes they don't. And sometimes after 6 months, issues happen. These are products with water and similar to hot tub companies, what they went through. You want to make sure you're buying something that's there, that's lasting, and that's going to be there for you and actually make it simple for you to deal with. So, I think that is definitely been there's been a lot of knockoff, quote unquote, that have entered in kind of this. And I think we see that in any maturing industry. And then the consumer kind of recognizes, oh, there is a difference between this product and what this product is for us, and we want to not just be a $5,000 price point product. We're working hard to fill different gaps, fill different shape sizes, create a level where people can get at different price points. And that was the whole emphasis behind this Evolve series that we have, where it's modularized. You can buy a product at a different scale that you're at. You could buy, do the pop-up, try it out for a month. Does this make a lasting impact in your life? Majority, we see that it is. Well, cool. You could actually just buy the chiller now and connect it up to your pop-up. And now you have cold, clean water that's cycling, that's cleaning. Well, then maybe at some point you're like, yeah, I'm actually, this pop-up, I want a little more space in it. I want it to be little more premium looking in my backyard. Well, you could buy our high-end inflatable. All you have to do is buy the inflatable unit now. Then it shows up. You already have the modularized chiller, or you want it the hard tub. Cool. Well, we can just ship you the tub, which is a lot more affordable. And now you can kind of go up as, spend over a 2-year window as opposed to having to buy the $7,000 product day one. So you can spread that lifetime out as kind of evolve as you grow in your career or just your cold plunging journey. So that's what I'm super excited on. It's more kind of meeting the consumer at a spot where they can kind of choose their own adventure and, level up as they go.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love the way you set that up. It's like, okay, because I think some people, there's a lot of different types of people out there and with the way they make decisions. Some people are like, burn the boats. I'm all in, right? Give me straight to, $8,000. And, if I buy it, then I'll use it. And there's other people who are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, let me just put a toe in, right? Let me just kind of see if I like it or not. Like, I mean, even the way my wife and I make decisions, like I'm all in. I'm like, okay, well, if I want to try a new sport, I'm going to go I'm going to get into gravel grinding, right? Gravel grinder racing. This year I decided, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go buy a really nice bike. She's like, well, why don't you just like borrow a bike? Or I'm like, no, because if I buy a nice bike, I'm going to use the bike. Right. Yeah. And then there's, she does the other way. She's like, well, I'm going to borrow gear from someone else. And, she's learned how to telemark skis. She's going to borrow skis from somebody else. And then she'll go buy a used set. And then if she really likes it, she does. So there's like people make these decisions in different ways. So it's cool that you kind of honor that psychology. I mean, do you guys do any kind of like market research? Like, do you do test groups? Do you interview people? Like, how do you guys come up with these? Or is it more just a very educated hunch in the market?
I think reverse engineer how we do these. I think obviously we have our consumer. So we get a lot of data from our actual core customers. We see where the market's going. We see what things are popping out. We get, track data into, web traffic and, trying to forecast some other, who else is out there doing something that we're not, and I think for us, the actual ethos of the company has always been accessibility to cold or, now sauna, accessibility to extreme temperatures. That's core of it. We want you to feel and understand that you are getting a premium product with us, but at the core, how do we make this more accessible? And so, for us, I think like I said, we entered at the 5K price point. We ended up launching the all-in, which is 9K. So we kind of, I think to the public's perspective, oh, they're going to this higher end, more premium product. Well, it appeared that way, but in the background, we've been working on the tech that product is actually the tech that's going to be in these more affordable products. So, that has always been the mission is to, meet. We are the customer. Like, let's meet. I've been at different points in my career journey, in my income journey, in my ability to access things. So I'm looking at kind of who I was throughout like, where would I have been at this point and what would I have bought it there? I lived in an apartment. I had a little balcony. What product fits there? So try and mirror and match to where we think our different consumers are at. And, I think that was a long answer again to no, it's not focus groups. We're not over, like, are we the most strategic with it? No, but I think we have a pretty good feel just because we are these people that are buying it. So even our employee base, they really represent all different types of our customers. We get a lot of feedback from there, and we'd really try and engage with our core consumer and see what their pain points are and, what they're loving and what ways that we can improve.
Yeah. I mean, but it's so early, right? For this cold plunge technology. Like, how many focus groups could you effectively do? Really? I don't know. I don't even know how to run that, but that's not my expertise anyway. Who would you say is your core customer? If you could identify like the ideal avatar, like who is that person right now? And
Yeah.
for your core line.
Yeah. I think, uh, it has been skewed male, 35 to 50-year-old, entrepreneur, growth mindset individual. That's been the core, early adopter, that type of individual. Now it's like, how do we keep that's as our core consumer? We need to be with them. And how do we tell better stories that's not everyone that's using the product? How do we tell the story to different individuals to let them know, hey, this isn't, it can be a lot of different people that are doing this. How do we get the, 75-year-old grandma to understand like what the impact of this is in her life and her being able to be with her grandkids and be more active and travel more abundantly and these things that are important, that these are stories that we hear of like, that's what I'm getting out of this. I'm not just getting that I'm more sharp and I'm running my business better. How do we create the opportunity for the 22-year-old? It's not really in a place to buy the 5K unit, but it's like, no, like you said, I don't social wellness. I don't want to be going to the bar. I want to hang out with my friends in a unique new way that, meets the lifestyle I want, but also like what I can afford. And so it's like, how do we create a product for that individual? So, I mean, it's like, we don't, it's always like a concern. Like, are you for everyone? Like if you're for everyone, you're for no one.
Right.
I think there's validity in that. And I think there's like honoring all the stories that come from this and, meeting people there and recognizing it and making sure others that have similar stories, that story comes out and they can understand that these are these use cases for the unit. So our core consumer to this date has been that 35 to 50-year-old male, but we have a wide spectrum of people that are using the product.
Awesome. And tell me about the Evolve series. I think, when this comes out, it'll be, out there, but you touched on it earlier. Okay, what is specifically is the Evolve series and what are you guys focusing on there?
Yeah. So it's basically, more or less four new products. We have our, what we call our pop-up ice bath. And that is just a very entry level, portable, easy setup, fill it up with ice yourself, water, you can get in, easy drain valve, move it where you want, setup. And like I said, it's a risk-free product from us because any product you ever purchase from us, we'll automatically give you a discount code the moment you buy it. Here's $100 off on your future core product. So it's like,
Okay.
we're really making it. So that's kind of the entry level, use it, get in it. It does connect to the chiller. So the core kind of piece behind all of these new products that are coming out is what is our Plunge Pure chiller. And so that's basically the tech that's in the all-in. So 1 horsepower chiller connects to the app, easy filter change, very energy efficient, super quiet. It's down to 37 degrees. That standalone chiller is really the backbone of this whole series. And then there's, we have our inflatable unit. Really excited on kind of the design of that one, where we were able to design it there's no puncture within it. So it holds the air way better. And then we have our XL, which is more or less, you would think of what we've been known for of our, like the regular plunge that you see in the marketplace or the XL plunge. That will be taking the category there, off this new chiller. So those are all the new products, all with a kind of a different level of pricing that you can get in at, all the way up from, like I said, from $100 to, about 6,900 for the XL Pro, and then everything in between. So super, super excited on this one because this really opens up, the market for us. We're finally releasing like what we feel is like a very high end premium product at some different price points.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm excited to check that out. I'll probably be a consumer of yours. Let's talk about the podcast journey.
Well,
How's that going? You're at how many episodes now? Like 20-ish? Is that right?
This hit 2 more that are about to be released. Yeah, I'll be at 20 something. The podcast for me is it's actually just for me. Like the whole concept started when we were doing these drop offs to, celebrities or, influencers. And I would just sit and talk to these people all day. And Mike would be like, it's time to go, Ryan. Like, let's go. And afterward, one time he was just like, hey, why don't we, you need to start a podcast. We need to get you going on a podcast. Like, this is an itch. And so, yeah, the pod's really been to scratch my own itch. It hasn't, no plan to, it's exact. I don't know for me, it's like, there's no plan to be like, this is what it's going to become. It's literally like when I find someone interesting, I'm like, cool, I want to sit down and talk with you. And I want to do it's such an intentional way to sit and talk with someone for an hour that it's like you probably would never talk to for an hour. Like I couldn't have these people. I can't be like, hey, do you want to hang out and talk for an hour? Like, no, up to so many other things. Like, it doesn't work that way. Where it's like, cool, now let's create an intentional space that we can actually get to know each other more. So it's been great with some of our other, partners we've met throughout the way that I can, I get deeper curiosity on. I'm like, cool. Like, can we create an hour session where I just can chat with you and learn about your life? And as that's been the emphasis of it. It's why there's also big gaps in between certain episodes. It's really just been following that. And I've had some, like I said, some really fun conversations. So yeah, people are interested, check it out. It's called The Journey, with Ryan Duey on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're at. We're on YouTube too, if you want the video, but, all different types of people that, I find interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you got Uriah Faber, right? That's a pretty cool one. I mean, people ask me this question, so I'm going to try to ask it in a way that I would want to be asked. But, as of recent memory, what's been one of your favorite episodes? I know that's like picking like what's your favorite child, right? But is there anything that you're like, that was impactful? I really took something away from that.
Yeah. I mean, they've all had like these pretty magical moments. One that's like, I actually really enjoyed, and I don't know if people would look at it and be like, but he's a good friend of mine actually, but Josh Emmett, who's one of the top fighters in the 145 weight class, very soft-spoken guy. He's a great friend of mine, but it was a chance for me to really sit down with him and ask him some questions that I've just never asked him before. And I just found it like, I'm very fascinated with the UFC and fight culture in general, and that is your livelihood. So that was a really fun one. Uriah Faber was obviously a really, loved Uriah, got a good friendship with him, but again, being able to go on kind of a deeper space and pull that out. And then I would say the other two, so I'm giving you 4. Yes, for one, I'm going to give you 4. Peter Crone.
Thanks.
Peter Crone's mind architect, world-class coach, or, he's coaches your favorite athlete and celebrity. And that was a cool one to sit down with him. There's a lot of like life story that I don't think's out there about him. And I thought that was he's just a very grounded person, but I got to understand like this kind of invincible human in the public eye. Like, who is he and how did he become that? And I thought that was a really interesting episode. And then last one was David Alexander. who really became known for being LeBron James and Dwayne Wade's trainer. And I thought he was very candid, especially if you're in the fitness space, trainer space, business entrepreneurship, like owning a gym, owning a brick and mortar. I thought there was a ton of value in that episode.
Awesome. Awesome. Last question, Ryan, is like, what do you need help with right now as, fitness, health and wellness, folks listening here? What should they reach out to you about?
I mean, our big thing is like sharing the message on this new Evolve series that's coming out. It's a big new push for us as a company. And I think ask it help. Like if someone wants to download our app and check it out and use it, use it for your cold plunging or sauna journey. Like it's, we're really proud of it. So we want people to be using it and also give us feedback. Those are ways that like, we're big into feedback. So if you're using our stuff and you have ideas or thoughts, like don't hesitate to, social media is a great way to kind of reach out to me. LinkedIn. I love feedback.
Awesome, man. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you coming on and giving the update. Maybe I'll see you soon in LA at URSA.
Totally.
I always I enjoy. I find your business and your management style and everything about what you guys are doing pretty fascinating. So I'd love to get you back on again in a year and see what's new. But yeah, man, I appreciate you taking some time today. It's always a pleasure, sir.
Always enjoy your questions and coming on. Thanks, Eric.
Right on, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Duey.